Ecclesiastes 12, 13 to 14, and Accordance will give me both of those verses, those passages. So you can view biblical passages in any form. It doesn't have to be contiguous.
What does the F do? When you put 14:6F, what did that do?
Yeah, I don't know what F stands for, but it basically means the next verse.
It means following.
The following, okay, following. So that, and if you put two F's, it just gives you the following all the way to the end of the chapter. So 14, 6 to 7, I could say Ecclesiastes 12, 13 to 14. How about Mark 1, 14 to 15? And they're all viewed right there. So that's one of the great things about Accordance is you can easily search and find biblical passages. If you want to see the whole corpus, just triple or double click verses or triple click verses and you'll have the whole Bible. And if whatever you type in this top box and you perform the search, that's going to determine what's viewed down here in the display pane. So if I'm viewing the whole Bible and I don't want to limit it to just a certain passage, but I want to jump to a particular verse, if you hit tab in the bottom right-hand corner, I can type the verse I want to jump to. So let's say Ecclesiastes 12, 13, and it jumps right to that verse, but it's not limiting me to that verse. I have all the verses before and all the verses after that are in the Bible. So that's what a verse search. You can perform verse searches in a variety of different ways. Word searches, however, is where Accordance really is powerful. For example, what should we search for? How about we'll stick with the theme of Revelation 14, 6 and 7, and we want to search for fear and God in the same verse. Now, I could type just fear God, but that would instruct Accordance to search for those two words together like a phrase. Fear God. But what if I want to just have the two words in the same verse but not be back to back? I need to put a search command, which is the AND search command, and I can do that in 3 different ways. I can type it, that's the AND search command, and that will find all those verses. But maybe you don't remember what the search command is. So if you don't remember it, you could go to search, the search menu, enter command, and here Accordance has all of your available search commands. And so I could just do that to enter it. There's also another way though. If I know the key command, which is shift command A, I can insert it with that key command. Or I could control click or right click here and say enter command and. So there are a variety of ways that you can enter your search commands into Accordance, whichever way that you're most comfortable. But remember, your search commands are always available from the search menu, and they're always, all the available ones will be listed. Because Accordance's search commands are, they're very sensical, they're what you would expect. What do you think the OR command would be in Accordance?
Shift command O.
Yeah. Shift command O, and that puts it in there. Now, you just think whatever the command would be, if you want to type it, just enclose it in angle brackets. And that's what it will be. You can also abbreviate it. I could just put angle bracket, O, angle bracket, and that would also do it. So you just have to include enough information for Accordance to be able to distinguish that command from all the other commands in Accordance. So is that pretty clear? There are a variety of ways to enter various search commands in Accordance. Now, right now I'm viewing a tagged English text, and a tagged text contains additional information that you don't normally see, but it can be used for searching. Like, for example, if I hover my cursor over fear here, it gives me the underlying Hebrew word from which it is translated. So this is the advantage of a tagged text. Now, all of us are, at least we pretend to be able to deal with original languages, but if you know, we're in the privacy of our own study and we want to cheat a little bit, and I don't want to open a Hebrew text, I could right-click or control-click on the word fear and say search for key number. And this will open a new window, a new tab, and it will search for every place where that underlying Hebrew word is translated in the New American Standard Bible. So it says there are 43 hits 43 times that Yirah, am I saying that right, Dr. Gates? How would you say that?
Sure, Yirah.
Yirah is found in the New American Standard Bible. So that's a kind of a shortcut. You can cheat a little bit if you're getting a little rusty, which of course, if you were going to get rusty, you'd get rusty on Greek, right? Not Hebrew. That would be the one that you would do. So key number texts are helpful. You can perform those kinds of searches, and that could be helpful to find out how a particular word is translated in a particular English translation. Now, if I wanted to find out, is that Hebrew word ever translated as a different word in my Bible other than fear, I could open the details, this little icon here. If you're using Accordance 8, there's going to be a button over here called Details. If you're using Accordance 8, there'll be a button right over here called Details. You can click that. In Accordance 9, it's been made into a little icon with a menu. And I'll say, let's look at an analysis of the search I performed. It'll open this new window, and it will show me all the ways that this Hebrew word is translated in the New American Standard Bible. So one time it's translated awesome, it's translated extremely, fearing, and reverence. So that's an easy way to quickly see how a particular group of translators have used a particular word in the Bible. Now, of course, we're more interested in maybe doing an original language search, right? And Accordance is superb in that area. But before we look at original language searches, let me just show you some more of the interface features that are related here in Accordance. I did this search, fear and God in the Bible. And what if, instead of just dragging my cursor over a word and seeing the underlying Greek or Hebrew word, maybe I want to have the Hebrew Bible open in parallel. So if you look over here on the right-hand side, you'll see 3 icons. I have 4, and I'll explain why later. And if you click the text icon, and you can select which verse or which text you'd like to view in parallel. I'll do the VHS with the Westminster morphology. So here I have the English translation and the Hebrew text side by side. Now notice what happens when I hover my cursor over fear in the English text. Accordance highlights the corresponding Hebrew word in the Hebrew Bible. See how that happened? And if I'm reading through the Hebrew Bible and I want to find out which English word is translated from a particular Hebrew word, I just hover my cursor over the Hebrew word and Accordance highlights it in the English translation. Now, for Accordance to be able to do this, you need to be aware of 2 things. First of all, the original language text you're using has to be a tagged text. That means it has to be tagged with the morphological information, the parsing information. There are some texts that are not tagged. Additionally, your English translation also has to be a tagged text. And an easy way to know if your English translation is tagged or not is to look at the abbreviation of it, and if it has an S at the end, it's tagged. Or if it's the NIV, it'll have a G/K at the end, and that one's also tagged. So if you want to know if it's a tagged text, look at the end, and if it's an English text with an S at the end, that means it's tagged. Probably the most common one, you all probably have the tagged King James Version, KJVS. Accordance includes that for free with all their packages. Any questions there on those simple searches that we did? Was that pretty clear, what you were able to do with word searches?
A quick question. I'm trying to do that thing that you did with finding the fear and then finding the number.
Okay.
What was the procedure on that?
Okay, so I look here and I hover my cursor over fear, and I want to right-click. Well, we're Mac users, so we'll control-click on the word fear or tap with 2 fingers, and that brings up a contextual menu.
Control-click.
Control-click. Is that working for you? You got it?
Well, okay, keep going.
And then search for.
Okay.
And if you're doing this in a tagged English text, there should be the option key number. And if you don't have that option, it's because the text you're viewing isn't tagged.
Yeah.
But if it has that option, then you're viewing a tagged text, and you can click on key number, and it will open a new tab, and it will perform a search for that key number.
Good, thanks.
Now let's open just the Hebrew Bible as its own search text. And this would be worth noting as well. Whenever you're performing a search, notice what text is listed right here. That's the search text. It will usually also be down here. In fact, it will always be one of the texts down here. But sometimes if you're switching back and forth, maybe I might think I want to perform a Hebrew search over here, so I'll try to type Elohim, and I'll be like, wait a minute, that's because I'm in an English text. So if I want to really do a Hebrew search, I need to change my text to the Hebrew Bible, the VHS W4. And now Accordance will automatically change the justification. It will now be right to left, and I can type Elohim and do a search, and their Accordance has found that 2,602 times that the word Elohim, the noun Elohim, appears in the Hebrew Bible. So do you notice how we did that? We want to make sure that the text we're searching is listed up here. If it's not, I can click that and I can select a different text. And then make sure I'm on word search, and I can type the word. Now,
yeah, is that in Accordance 9? Because when I click on mine, it doesn't give me English, Hebrew.
yeah, that's because I've arranged my text in a particular order.
Okay.
You're probably clicking and getting just a long list of everything. And we'll talk in a minute about how you can arrange your resources in a way that's easier to find.
Okay.
But yeah, right now you're probably clicking and just seeing a whole long list.
Right.
Now, if you are not familiar with how to type Hebrew or Greek using your English keyboard, if you click Window from the menu bar and go down to Character Palette, Accordance will open a little window, and over here on the top left you can select which font you want. Accordance's Hebrew font is Yehudit, so click on that, and it will list all the Hebrew alphabet and all the vowel pointings and everything like that. And if you just hover your mouse over it, it'll tell you the key combination. T. So to type a tav, I type T. But if I don't want to bother with that, I can just do it here. I can click on Aleph, I can click on Lamed, I can click on A, and so forth. So you can also enter the Hebrew and Greek letters that way if you're not comfortable and familiar with them. Now, if you're viewing the Hebrew Bible or the Greek text, and you want to do a search for a particular word, a original language search, you can do it several ways. If you're already viewing the text and I want to look for bara, I can click on that word. I can do a control click, or if you're using a newer Mac, a tap on the trackpad with 2 fingers, open a contextual menu, and I can do search for, and I have 3 options. I can search for the lemma. Oh, do we know what the lemma is? Oh, let's start with the root. The root, we all know what that is, right? Hebrew, the root word is the basic form, right? Isn't usually a verb. Anyway, inflected is it in that particular form. So with that parsing information. So bara right here, if we notice, it's a cow perfect third masculine singular. So if I do a search for inflected, it's going to search only for instances where bara occurs as a cow perfect third masculine singular. If I want the lemma, that is, I want bara wherever it is a verb, I can click lemma, and it will return the hits regardless of whether it's cow, perfect or imperfect or whatever. Does that make sense? So those 3 options are available to me. I want to search for a word from an original language text, so I have control clicked on it, and I go search for. I have 3 choices: lemma, inflected, or root. We're going to do an inflected search. So I click inflected, Accordance will open a new tab, and I will see the 5 hits right over here, the 5 times that that bara shows up as a cow perfect third masculine singular. Was that clear how we did that? So that's an easy way to search from a text. If I'm viewing the word I want to search for, if I control click it, Accordance will give me several search options. That way I can avoid having to type the word out myself if I'm not comfortable doing that.
What? I'm not getting my control click to work. I'm wondering why.
You pressing Control CTRL or Command?
Okay, that's
Oh,
the
it's this
command.
one.
That's
This
the
command. Gotcha.
Yeah, the command key has the Apple symbol on it. The
Yeah.
control key is
Thanks.
2 keys to the left
Thanks.
of the Apple key.
What is the lemma again?
Okay, lemma is, Dr. Gain, would you quickly tell us what's the difference between a lemma and a root?
Well, the root could be of also not only verbs, but also other parts of speech, right? Like nouns, adjectives could come from the same root. But the lemma would mean just within the part of speech, isn't that?
Okay,
Is that right?
good point. So lemma is we restricting it to that part of speech. Root is looking for the root word regardless of what ways it's being used. Thanks for that clarification. So here we've done some searches. We have done a search in an English text, we've done a search in an original language text, and we've noticed how accordance when we have tagged text can highlight the corresponding words. Now, let's do another search for a word, but let's specify to accordance that we want it to have a particular morphological form. So let's do bara again. So I'll type bara. If I just click enter, I'm going to get the 54 times that this Hebrew word shows up. But if I want to limit it to a particular morphological form, accordance will allow me to add tags that instruct accordance to look for particular forms. Now, to add a tag to a word, I need to type the word and then put the @ symbol. So bara, and then I'll type the @ symbol. You can also access that by search, enter symbol, and you can put the @ symbol. The @ symbol merely tells accordance that whatever is going to follow needs to be attached to the word that I just typed. So bara with the @ symbol, and then I can enter some grammatical tags. I can say I want it to be an adjective, a noun, a paragraph, an article, a pronoun, a suffix, a verb, or I can say any tag. Accordance, you just, regardless of what the tag is, return this. Now, I have a few options you don't have probably, and I'll explain those in a few minutes. But let's say we want bara as a verb, because that's what it is, right? A verb. And accordance will give me a dialog window with several options. I can specify the stem, let's say cow. I can specify the aspect, let's say perfect. I could specify first, second, or third person. I could specify the gender and the number, and even a few other options down here. So we're just going to go with cow perfect. So click OK, and notice that accordance has inserted a tag. It's in brackets, verb cow perfect. It has the @ symbol, which instructs accordance that this applies to the word bara. Now when I click the blue icon or I press return to search, accordance instantly returns the 20 times that bara is a cow perfect. Now you can type these commands yourself once you get comfortable with accordance. I've typed bara, @ symbol, open bracket, I'll say verb cow perfect, close bracket, and there accordance does the search. So there are multiple ways that you can have accordance search for a particular form of a word. If you have the word in your reading, you can control click and then tell accordance how you want it to search for that particular word. Or you can type the word, put the @ symbol next to it, and using the search into grammatical tag menu, you can tell accordance exactly what kind of word you want to look for. Any questions on that? Was that pretty clear? We're kind of moving along quickly here because there's so much that accordance can do and we have such a limited time. So we've looked at what we can do with searches. There's another way that accordance searches, and it's called the construct window. The construct window is a way for you to graphically build a search. To do a construct search, you want to make sure that you have an underlying text open. So we're going to search, and let's switch this up. We're going to go ahead and change this to Greek. Make sure you have the word search clicked because a construct search is a type of word search. And after you selected words, go to File, New Construct, and because we're doing a Greek construct, we'll select Greek construct. Accordance opens a new window or a new tab. This is the construct window. Here I can build a search in a graphical way. For example, I want to look for the lexical form. See this lexical tag? I'll drag that over here to the first column, and I want the lexical form to be phobeo, feel, the verb feel. And I want to specify that it has to be a particular kind of verb, so I'm going to drag the verb modifier, and I want it to be imperative. So I do that, and accordance is going to say it's imperative. Now, I also want there to be in the same sentence another verb. I also want it to be imperative. So I want a second imperative verb, and I want this second imperative verb to be a different verb than the first one. So see the agree tag, I'm going to drag that over, and I'm going to say I want to agree in lexical form. So I click OK. Notice that in this space, this is where I define the relationships between the elements down here in the columns. Each column represents one element or one word. But because I don't want these two verbs to be the same lexical form, I'm going to take the not modifier and I'm going to drag it over here. That means when Accordance conducts the search, it'll look for a verb that's the imperative form of phobeo. It's also going to look for another imperative verb that is not phobeo. Does that make sense? Now I also want Accordance to look for a conjunction. And I want this to be a subordinating conjunction. We're making it a little more complicated here. And I want this subordinating conjunction, I'm going to choose lexical tag, I want it to be haughty. So I put that in there. Now, suppose I want to instruct Accordance to look for all these three elements, these two imperative verbs that are different, and this subordinating conjunction within a particular number of words. So I'm going to drag the within tag over here, and I'm going to say I want this to be within 20 words of each other. So I'll click that, and because I want this to include the whole argument, I'm going to drag this over to encompass all three. You see the search we conducted there? We built it now. Now we want to run the search and see if Accordance will find anything like this. So I'm going to click the blue search icon, and Accordance will take me back to the Greek New Testament. And what do you know? There's only one place in the New Testament with that particular construction. And it's found in Revelation 14, verse 7. Fear God and to give to him glory, because has come the hour of his judgment. Now, let's suppose I want to perform that same search in the Septuagint and see if there are similar constructions in the Septuagint. All I need to do is change my search text to a tagged copy of the Septuagint, LXX1, and I will click the search button. And there are 7 places in the Greek Septuagint where a similar construction is found. And one of those happens to be Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. I recently wrote a paper about is Ecclesiastes 12:13 a literary source for Revelation 14:7? Is it an allusion there? Anyway, so that was of interest to me. So did you see how Accordance allowed us to conduct a very sophisticated search in the Greek New Testament? And then we were able to go ahead and do that search also in the Septuagint without having to rebuild the search. We just changed our search text.
As I first said that Citrino, I kept looking down and I missed how you got those arches.
Okay, let's go back to that Greek construct. These top 3 tags define relationships. So you just click it and drag it over to this top section and let go, and I can tell it what range I'm willing to have. I'll say 20 words. And then I can, these little blocks on the arches of the arms, I can drag to tell it what to include. You can construct very, very sophisticated and complicated searches using the construct window. The benefit of the construct window is that it allows you to build searches in a very organized way. I can see exactly what I'm searching for. I can add tons of different tags. I can define each element in a very specific way. Just remember, if you're doing a construct search, before you open a construct window, make sure you have a tagged search text, that the type of search is words, and that you've selected whatever is in the word search entry box. Then you go File, New Construct, and you can build your construct search. Any questions on that before we move on to some of the other features? Okay, let's continue. In Accordance 9, Accordance introduced several new features, and one of them has to do with performing syntactical searches. We performed a morphological search, right? We stipulated morphological criteria for a search. But what if I want to conduct a search and I want it to have syntactical information? I want to specify, I want to look for, say, Elohim, where it is the subject of a clause. That's not something previously Accordance had the capability to do, but in version 9, Accordance has introduced a syntactical databases. You probably don't have these, but remember I told you over here, I have 4 icons where you have 3. This third gray icon is the syntactical database icon. If I click it, I have 2 options. I have the syntactical database for the Biblia Hebraica Studentia, and also for the Greek New Testament. We'll open the Hebrew database, and here Accordance opens for me a syntactical tree which visually illustrates the syntactical relationships between various words over here. Notice as I hover my cursor over Bereshit, here in Genesis 1:1, Accordance highlights in the syntactical tree the corresponding word. This allows me to easily visualize what's going on. If I go over here and I hover my cursor over A, Accordance will tell me in the instant details box that this clause is an adjunct, and it will describe what that is, and it will highlight all the words that Accordance has tagged as being part of the adjunct in this clause. Accordance only has the book of Genesis available in the Old Testament and the book of John in the New Testament. They're currently working on adding these syntactical capabilities for the entire scriptures. They're also going to do it for the Septuagint and some other ancient texts. But because of this, I can perform a search for, let's say, Elohim. And do you remember how I add a tag, the @ symbol? And then I can go search, enter a grammatical tag, and here are my syntactical options down at the bottom. Let's say Elohim when it is the subject. Now remember, because we only have the syntactical database for the book of Genesis, Accordance will only be able to search in Genesis for Elohim where it is the subject. So let's conduct that search. And Accordance says there are 134 times in the book of Genesis where Elohim is the subject. If I want to visually see that, I could say, and I'm just going to make a quick change here to help this. I'm going to open the instant details, and I'm going to show a hits graph. And you'll notice that Accordance opened it here right next to my search text. That's a new feature of Accordance 9, the zones feature. It allows you to view multiple different kinds of resources side by side in the same window. But here is a graphical representation of all the places in the book of Genesis that Elohim is the subject. So you notice there's a concentration right here in the first few chapters, isn't there? Where Elohim is the subject, and that's of course because of the creation account in Genesis 1 and 2. I also can add those syntactical tags in the construct window. If I go over here to my Greek construct window, you'll notice I have syntactical tags down here at the bottom. Let's say, though, instead of the subject, we want Accordance to look for Elohim as the predicate. That would be, it could be on the predicate side of the clause, the direct object or indirect object or something like that. And Accordance says there are no instances in the book of Genesis where Elohim is the predicate, or on the predicate side of the sentence. So that's interesting, isn't it? Obviously, when you're dealing with databases like this, it's helpful to check what they return to you. But Accordance is very good at trying to have accurate and reliable databases. So that's a new feature in Accordance 9, the ability to conduct syntactical searching. Any questions on that before we move on?
This new icon that you have in there, you have to buy it, right? Because it does not come with 9 per se.
No, it doesn't. These syntactical databases cost additional. For the Hebrew Scriptures, it's $60. For the Greek New Testament, it's $50. And as Accordance makes new books available, they'll give those to you for free. And we'll talk as we conclude about a discount that Accordance will offer you. So you'll be able to get a discount on any of these things. So that's searching. This is what Accordance can do in the realm of searching. But you also use a Bible software program to analyze the text. And we've noted a little bit of that already. If I hover my cursor over a tagged text, Accordance analyzes it instantly for me and gives me the parsing information for the word down at the bottom. But what if I'm translating an entire passage, let's say the first 3 verses, or let's get back here to everything, the first 3 verses of Genesis. I can select those 3 verses, and then over here on the resource palette, under the language section, I can click this parsing icon. If I click that, Accordance will open for me, and we'll make this the whole screen, all the parsing information in a table for those 3 verses. And I can export this information, I can print it, and even include it in an assignment that I'm turning in if I need all the parsing information. Of course, you would parse it first on your own, wouldn't you? And then you just use this to check. You wouldn't cheat and do this to begin with, obviously. So Accordance can analyze the text for you that way. So how do you do that? You select what you want parsed. It could be an entire chapter. It could be just one verse, a few words. Click the parsing icon, and Accordance will open that for you. Accordance also allows you to create grammatical diagrams of the sentences. Over here, the green chalkboard, I can click that. Accordance will open for me the diagram tool, and Accordance will import all of the words that I had highlighted. If I'm importing from a tag text, these words maintain their syntactical or their morphological tagging. So that can be helpful. As I'm here diagramming, I won't make a diagram, but all the features here for diagramming, it includes all that tagged information. And you can save these diagrams, you can print them and export them. So that can be helpful. I hate diagramming personally, but hey, it's cool that you can do it if you want to. So those are some of the features for analyzing. We already talked about how we can view in the instant details box information based on our search. Let's try Elohim, and we're going to do it in everything. And I'm going to look at a hits graph, and I'll just put this below. So this shows me graphically where Elohim occurs throughout the Hebrew Bible. I could also look at an analysis graph. That's not going to be all that helpful, but it'll show me the different lexical forms. Elohim only has one lexical form, obviously, right? It's one word. What about the inflected forms? Well, here are all the inflected forms, graphically illustrated for me that Elohim appears as. What if I want to have an analysis this way? Well, obviously, there's not a whole lot of information. Elohim is a fascinating word, but it doesn't have a whole lot of variety in the Hebrew Bible. So that's one way you can analyze the results of your searches using the details. If you have Accordance version 8, the details icon or button will be right here. In version 9, it's this tab, this icon here to see some information. Okay, we need to kind of keep moving here. The third task that you'll use Accordance for is for referencing, right? So if I am, let's get back to my English tab here. If I'm reading through the Bible and I want to open let's say a critical apparatus, Accordance offers, it's an additional fee, but Accordance offers the standard critical apparatuses from the Dutch, the German place, those German scholars over in Stuttgart, that's it. I can open that here in parallel with my text. And as I scroll through the Bible, the apparatus will scroll with it. And you know how in apparatuses there are all those crazy little symbols and everything? The nice thing about here in Accordance, if you hover your icon over one of those symbols, it'll give you information about it. It's giving you information about this manuscript down here in the instant details box. So that's helpful. I also can view a commentary. How about Kyle and Dillich? I can view that in parallel with my biblical text as well, and it will scroll along with it. But one of the things that we want to do, and this fit more to analyze, is we want to look up words, right, in lexicons. If you are in the biblical text, and here's Elohim again, and I want to look that up in a lexicon, all I need to do is triple click the word. 1, 2, 3. And Accordance will open a new tab, and it will search for Elohim in that lexicon. Now, you may have several lexicons, and you may be asking, how do I specify, when I triple click a word, how do I specify which lexicon Accordance will open? To do that, you open your library window, and Accordance categorizes your tools based on the category. So if I want to go down here to my Hebrew tools, Accordance will amplify. That's the term for when I triple click a word. If it's a Hebrew word, Accordance will amplify. It'll open up the lexicon and search it, whichever one is the top one in my list. So if I wanted BDB to be the lexicon that Accordance by default would open when I triple click the Hebrew word, I put it at the top. But I like Hella better, the Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament, better than BDB. Now, once you make a change in your library window, you have to click Update down here at the bottom so that Accordance will update those changes. And you can do this with any of your tools. You can arrange them. You can add, down here with the gear, you can add folders. You can arrange all of your resources in a way that is most helpful for you. That can be great. One of you mentioned when you clicked over here on your text to select a new text, you had everything in just one list. Well, you can, using the library window, you can categorize, you can put them into folders, you can put them in the order that's best for you. Just remember, whichever one is at the top, that's Accordance will consider that your favorite in whatever tool category it is, and by default, when you amplify or triple click something, it will open that resource and search it. Okay, we can also open reference resources. Accordance, these are your reference resources under the Tools section. Accordance categorizes them based on how that tool is organized. So how is a Bible dictionary organized? Alphabetically, usually by English, right? If it's in English language. So a Bible dictionary is going to be an English tool because it's organized, the internal structure of that book is by the English alphabet. Lexicons are alphabetized, they're organized based on the Hebrew or Greek alphabets. And so Greek lexicons are Greek tools, Hebrew lexicons are Hebrew tools, along with theological lexicons that are organized based on the Hebrew or Greek words. Reference tools, such as commentaries, cross-references, translator notes, those are organized by verse reference. And so Accordance calls those reference tools, and those are all categorized under the reference section. All other tools that are not organized by an alphabet, English, Hebrew, or Greek, are called general tools. And these would be things such as maybe a charts module, or maybe, I think I have somewhere down here, Calvin's Institutes. Those are not organized by any particular alphabet, so those are general tools. So Accordance organizes your tools based on how they are organized internally. And so you can organize your tools within the categories, but I cannot put a reference tool into the Greek tool section because that's not the way that Accordance operates. We are running out of time. I think we have just a few minutes left. I apologize, Dr. Gain, I got carried away here. There are two other quick features maybe I can highlight very quickly. One is the parallels database that Accordance has, and the others are the graphical resources. We're going to go back here to the New Testament. or to the English Bible, and we're going to we're going to search for, let's say, Jerusalem. And so here all the times Jerusalem occurs. And if I don't know where Jerusalem is, and I want to look it up on the atlas, all I have to do is click that word once. That's selected, or I can click it twice to highlight it. I can go over here to the resource palette, and under the background section, I have two options. One is the map, and it can be viewed in a variety of configurations. And so if I click on that, Accordance is going to open the map, and it highlights, you notice right here in the middle, it highlights what I searched for, Jerusalem. The Accordance map is additional. It's not included in a package you may have purchased, but it's a well worth resource to have. Wherever I hover my cursor, Accordance gives me the elevation in meters and feet. It gives me the coordinates in 3 different forms, which can be very helpful. Another feature is I can also find out how far it is between places. As the crow flies, between Jericho and Jerusalem is 13.6 miles. Well, that can be a helpful feature as well. Now, you may have remembered a story about a chap who went from Jerusalem down to Jericho. And let's say we want to see what the topography would have been like as he was traveling along. So I can highlight a section on the map. I can go over here to Open 3D, and I can choose how much I want Accordance to magnify the terrain. I'll say 4 times. And Accordance, 4 times wasn't enough. Let's make it dramatic. I'll say 8 times. And Accordance opens for me a 3D rendering of the topography of Jerusalem to Jericho. And you can see it's a little bit mountainous, isn't it? And I can zoom in, and I can go look at it closer. So that's a cool feature. That's neat. Now, if I also have the photo guide installed along with Accordance, I can triple click a word on the atlas. How about Jerusalem? And Accordance will open the photo guide, which is a biblical dictionary of biblical sites. And if I scroll down, it'll give me some information about Jerusalem. But we want to see some pictures. And here are some pictures of, we'll open these in a different tab. Here are some pictures of Jerusalem. There are tons of pictures. And these can be great for helping to bring the biblical text alive and to see what the Holy Land is like. It's not just Jerusalem. The photo guide includes pictures for almost every biblical site that's listed on the atlas.
And this is how you did from one place to the other. So if I want to see how far it is from Jerusalem to Jericho, how do you do that?
Okay. You're going to want to hold down the Option key. It's the one right next to the Apple key. You'll notice that your cursor will change to crosshairs. So holding down the Option key, click once there, and then move the cursor, and you'll see a line going between the original location and where your cursor is now. And so you can put that wherever you want. As long as you're holding the Option key down, you can click again, and you can define how precise it's going to be. So I'm going up the road here, and Accordance will tell me the distance down there. So that's a cool feature, isn't it? And that can be helpful.
So it shows it in the instant details box?
In the instant details box, Yeah, so you'll have to have the instant details box open to do that. And lastly, we don't have time to get into Accordance's user tools and user notes feature, but I will just quickly show you that you can make your own user notes, and perhaps for your translations. I've been doing some translating for a particular class I'm taking with Dr. Gain, and so I've been translating these as my own there we go. My own user notes, and so my translation can scroll right along with the biblical text. And also,
So, quick question. Are we trying to figure out what that little scroll bar?
yes. Okay. If you have version 8, you'll have a little triangle right here. And if you click that, you'll have several options. One of them is context option. And this is telling me if I do a search for, say, Jerusalem again, it's only showing me the verses that Jerusalem appears in. But if I drag this, it adds context. It'll give me a couple verses before and after. All the way, it's going to show me everything. All the verses before and all the verses after. Okay, we really need to close it there. Dr. Gain, would you like to come up and share a little bit at all on
We
how
could, or we
you.
could do it another time.
Maybe
Probably
we should.
people have to go to other stuff.
That's
perhaps,
true.
I don't know. So maybe we could do it another time. This is fantastic. I'm going to tell Helen Brown about you because I've gone to some of their accordance seminars and I think you're clear. I learned so much. Very helpful.
If you want some more information, go to that website, bibsoft.org. You can download a 26, 28-page PDF document that includes a lot of information that we've covered. As we close, let me just let you know, we haven't gotten to accordance to advanced capabilities. So there's a lot more we haven't covered, and we haven't even gotten to Dr. Dean's presentation. I want to encourage you, though, here are what I would recommend if you want to purchase accordance. The Scholars Introductory level will give you the tagged copies of both the Old and New Testament, the Hebrew and the Greek scriptures. You'll get a few English translations and some tools for $149. But because Accordance is giving us a 20% discount, you can save a good bit. It'll be $119. So here's what you want to do. Go to the Accordance website, search, find what you want. If you're on a budget, I'd encourage you just get this. You can always upgrade as you go along and add new resources as your budget allows. When you place your order, make sure you include this discount code, SVA10DISC. And we'll have some posters posted around the seminary later this week that will include this discount code, so you can get a 20% discount. It'll be on one purchase, so purchase as much as you can at one time. It's good until the end of October. Any questions before we quit?
If I were to upgrade to 9, is that a valid discount to buy modules like the branching out? Would that apply to that?
Yeah, the discount will apply to anything that's not on sale.
Okay.
So that will apply to the $49 to upgrade to version 8 or 9. It will apply to if you wanted to buy the syntactical databases. It'll apply to anything that's not already on sale.
When you upgrade to say 9, do you have to, and you have all, let's say you have a Premiere, do you have to go back and install the other things?
No, yeah, it'll keep all your resources. And here's the thing, let's say today you buy the Scholars Introductory level for $119, and later you want to upgrade. Accordance will always only charge you the difference. So if you start small, you're never penalized. Later on, you can upgrade to a better collection, and you just pay the difference between the two.
So is the upgrade, is it needed, necessary, worth it?
Oh, no. Really, to be honest with you, I wouldn't upgrade if you're on a budget, if you don't need the syntactical abilities. Yeah. The thing with the upgrade added, in addition to, actually,
The iPhone, iPod.
yeah, the iPhone, iPad app, version 9 actually is worth it because it does much better searches. If you want to search everything at one time, it'll do it like that. In version 8, it takes a little while.
All right.
So would it be helpful to meet again to go more in depth and also to hear Dr. Gaines' presentation on how he uses Accordance for exegesis? Okay, we'll try to organize something else then, so we can get together
This
again.
time we're good.
This time?
Wow.
Well, thank you for your time.
Excellent job, Professor.
Oh, well, thanks. Glad you could catch the tail.